Anxiety is a natural response within the brain to a potential threat. When we have an anxious response, the part of our brain that goes into fight flight, the amygdala part of the brain, evokes the fight flight response within our system. This is something that is neurologically programmed within us. However, very often that amygdala is activated because it anticipates a fear that isn't there. Now, these can be thoughts. So, an example of how the amygdala is very vigilant and how anxiety can therefore become very prevalent within our life is if you were walking in the jungle and you've got the grasses underneath your feet, you can hear the beautiful sounds of the forest, and you're just generally enjoying nature and how wonderful it is. And then all of a sudden you see a massive spider and it's right in front of you, and you don't want to walk through that. Can you, at that point when you see the spider, are you still able to look around and enjoy everything? Can you still hear the sounds of the forest? Are you still aware of the grasses under your feet? Or is the only thing that you are focusing on the spider, which has evoked fear, which has set off the anxious process? The answer to that question is likely to be no. Of course, we're all different and there will be others with different experiences, but hypothetically, that is the one focus. The brain will focus on the thing that it perceives as threat and therefore will set off the neurological process of the fight-flight response to enable us to survive. It's a survival technique. Very often, though, negative thoughts evoke that sense of anxiety. The negative thought becomes the spider in the jungle. The negative thought becomes the focus. And the thing about negative thoughts and those things which our brain perceives as danger is they take all of the attention. They become the most overriding thing that our brain is focusing on. So those negative thoughts which ruminate and ruminate and ruminate can get a hold and can take a grip and can become really difficult to manage. So here's a technique with regards to thoughts which may support you. And one thing to remember is thoughts are not facts. Excuse me. So it's important, if you have thoughts running around in your head, ask yourself these questions. Is this thought absolutely true? What evidence is there that this thought is absolutely true? Is my thought 100% accurate? Is there any other way I could see this thought differently? If this thought is a negative thought, can I rephrase this thought to become a positive thought? Reframe that thought. Is it possible that my emotions are evoking me to believe that that thought is true? Check in with yourself, check in with the thought. Perhaps even the thought that's in your head, write it down on a piece of paper. Read that thought out loud to yourself and say that thought and question its validity. Take that thought out of your brain and allow yourself to question it. And perhaps even in distracting yourself from that thought, just by the questioning of that thought, may support the anxious response, may support you, may enable you to move forward away from that thought. It is just one of the many different techniques which you can try to help yourself when a thought has taken over your thought that is ruminating in your mind and that anxious process is kicked off. Anxiety is really something that is becoming difficult for very many people. And if anxiety is something which you are struggling to cope with, then do reach out for support, whether it be reading a good instructional book, if that will support you, whether it's speaking to a friend, whether it's engaging with a counsellor such as myself, who will offer you support and techniques in order to manage your anxiety to the best that you can. If you are suffering with anxiety, find a way to support yourself, because living with anxiety is exhausting and it's a difficult way to live your life, because if you are living with anxiety, you are not living in the present. You are living outside of the present. Talk to someone, get some support, and look after you, because you are worth it. You do matter, and it is important. Take lots and lots of care. And thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.